The alarms were already screaming when Dr. Lysera entered the human ward. The blue-lit glass pods glowed with flickers of fading life, but one pod refused to register death. The human inside commander, Nathan Hale, had been found floating in orbit after the final skirmish of the human Silurus war. His armor was cracked open, oxygen depleted, and his vitals had dropped to 0.23 minutes earlier. By all known metrics, he was gone. Yet the monitor above his pod refused to flatline. A faint rhythm pulsed once every few seconds, erratic but undeniable. Lysera's 4. Translucent fingers trembled as she pressed the scanner against his chest. "Impossible," she whispered. The human heart, small and inefficient by Solarian standards, should not restart itself after cellular death, and yet it did. Her console flared red, registering 2 pulses, one where the human heart should be, and one slightly higher, beneath the collarbone, like a newborn organ trying to learn the rhythm of life. "No!" she gasped, tapping the scanner again. Not 2 hearts. The second pulse accelerated, responding to her proximity. For the first time in her sterile clinical career, Dr. Lysera felt something that no alien training could explain, the sense that life was watching her back. In Silarian medicine, emotion was contamination. They were healers of logic, not empathy. But Lysera couldn't stop staring at the human's chest, where the faint glow pulsed beneath his skin like a trapped star. The AI monitor urged, "Subject unviable. Recommend organ recovery." She silenced it. "No," she whispered. "He's trying to live." Using her own neural implant, she flooded the pod with regeneration fields and oxygenated serum. For 10 long minutes, nothing happened, until his body convulsed. The first heart thudded weakly, then the second joined in perfect harmony. The pod's glass fogged from his breath as Nathan gasped, eyes shooting open. His first word was a rasped question. "Where am I?" Lysera froze, unprepared to hear the human tongue. "You're aboard Solaris Medical Station 4, she said softly. "You were clinically dead." Nathan blinked, disoriented. "Then why does it feel like I'm still falling?" His hands reached for his chest. 2 heartbeats echoed in the silence. Lysera's fingers brushed his skin and both pulses quickened simultaneously. The station lights flickered. Her superior's voice echoed through the intercom. "Dr. Lysera, step away from the subject. Termination is required." But she didn't move. Something deep within her, a pulse older than her species, pride, refused to let him go. Hours turned into days. Nathan's recovery defied every biological law. The scans showed a second cardiac node had grown alongside his natural heart, but its structure was crystalline, Solarian in composition. "You've merged with something that isn't human," Lysera explained. He chuckled weakly. "So what does that make me?" "An anomaly," she whispered. Yet she couldn't look away. Every time she approached him, his bioluminescent second heart would brighten, matching the faint color of her own bloodstream. When she touched his wrist, her veins glowed in resonance. It was as if her DNA recognized him. She tried to rationalize it. Cross-species contamination, nanite interference. But the truth whispered beneath the data. Her regenerative serum carried fragments of her neural code. When it revived him, it shared her essence. Nathan's laughter softened into awe. "So, you saved me with a piece of yourself." She nodded slowly. "And now it beats inside you?" That night, she found herself sitting by his pod long after her shift ended, listening to the 2 hearts sinking in rhythm, a melody, so fragile and human that even the sterile walls seemed to hold their breath. On the 5th cycle, Nathan began to dream while awake. His eyes glowed faintly, and he murmured words in a Solarian dialect he couldn't possibly know. When Lysera placed her scanner on him, their neural frequencies matched. For a fleeting instant, she saw what he saw, memories not his own. Stars through alien eyes, her own childhood, her mother's voice singing an ancient hymn of healing. She recoiled, trembling. "You accessed my memories," she whispered. Nathan blinked in confusion. "I didn't mean to." But his second heart pulsed. Brighter than before, and she felt it again. Connection. Her superiors discovered the readings and declared both subjects contaminated. The order was clear. Terminate the experiment. Lysera destroyed the transmission logs and hid Nathan in an isolation chamber, disguising it as biohazard containment. They'll kill you for existing, she said. Then don't let them find me, he replied. His gaze lingered on her too long, too human, too alive. In that silence, she realized the unthinkable. The second heart wasn't a mutation. It was communication, her soul reaching for his through the circuitry of life. When the directorate discovered the missing patient, the alarms rang across the station. Lysira's lab flooded with armed guards and sterilization drones. Nathan's body began to convulse under stress, the twin hearts beating faster, merging into a violent frequency that distorted the air around him. "He's destabilizing," Lysira shouted. "Stop the noise!" But the guards advanced. The hum rose to a scream. Equipment shattered, glass exploded. Lysira threw herself over him as the world burned white. Then silence. When she opened her eyes, the medbay was gone. The guards lay unconscious. Only faint ripples of blue light hovered in the air. Nathan sat upright, trembling, eyes glowing like stars. "I could feel them trying to erase me," he whispered. "But something wouldn't let me die again." She placed her hand over his chest. The pulse steadied under her palm, both hearts in perfect sync. "That's something," she said softly. "Was you and me." Tears shimmered in her translucent eyes, a phenomenon her kind considered weakness. But tonight, weakness felt holy. They fled through the maintenance tunnels as the directorate sealed the decks. Nathan's bioluminescent patterns lit the way like veins of living starlight. "Where will we go?" he asked. "Anywhere they can't measure heartbeat," she replied. He laughed despite the fear. "That's nowhere. Then we make nowhere ours." They reached an escape pod, but as Lysira activated the controls, Nathan clutched his head in pain. "They're tracking me through the second heart." His vitals spiked. The crystalline organ flickered like a beacon. She did the unthinkable. She pressed her own chest against his, sharing her energy field. The lights dimmed as the signal vanished. When he opened his eyes, he whispered, "You linked us." "Completely," she said, breathless. "If one of us dies, the other stops too." "That's insane." "That's life," she replied, sealing the hatch. The pod burst into the void, leaving the sterile world of logic behind. For the first time in her existence, Lysira smiled, not as a doctor, but as someone finally alive. Days passed adrift among silent stars. Nathan's body began to change, his blood shimmering with threads of light, his senses stretching beyond human limits. He could hear Lysira's thoughts before she spoke. "You're evolving," she said. "No," he murmured, "we are." The second heart no longer beat separately. It had spread throughout his nervous system, merging with her frequency like twin galaxies colliding. They became something new, a hybrid consciousness. When they reached the ruins of an abandoned moon colony, Nathan placed his hand on a stone engraved in both languages, human and Solarian. "We fought each other for a century," he said. "Maybe we were always meant to finish the war like this, by becoming one." Lysira looked at him, her reflection glowing in his twin heart's light. "And if they find us?" He smiled faintly. "Then let them learn what love looks like when it rewrites." "Evolution," she didn't answer, but her heartbeat echoed his perfectly, a single rhythm stretching across two species. Years later, the directorate recovered fragments of their escape, pod near the red nebula of Oris 9. Inside the wreckage, no bodies were found. Only a faint heartbeat recorded in the background radiation, repeating endlessly. The report called it the two-heart anomaly. Some said it was interference. Others swore they could feel it when they closed their eyes, a pulse that beat with their own. On distant planets, Solarian children grew up hearing the myth of the alien doctor and the human who loved her so fiercely that the universe changed its rhythm to match theirs. And somewhere beyond time and reason, Lysira and Nathan watched over the galaxies. They had once belonged to, no longer. Doctor and patient, no longer alien and human, but the first beings to prove that love itself could become a heartbeat powerful, enough to echo across eternity.